See, okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lillian Chukwueze. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you for joining me today. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Today we have a special guest. You mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Amit Darji. I've been in real estate for the last 4 years now. 5 years, actually. Wow. Time flies by.
Yeah, so Amit here is a real estate agent. He's also a real estate lender. I'm sorry, not lender, real estate investor. And he also raises private money. So we're going to talk all about that today on today's episode. So let's jump right into it. So you've been in real estate for a couple of years. How did you start out? What got you into it and everything like that?
Yep. Well, first of all, Lillian, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, for making time and setting this all up. So big thanks to you. How I got started. So I was in real estate is not my initial background. I was in pharmaceuticals, did that for about 10 years, 10 to 12 years, somewhere around there. Took the traditional path, went to college, got a job, so on and so forth. As I got later on in my career, I hit my financial goals that I had set. And then my family was starting to grow. We had children who were expanding.
If you don't mind me asking, what was your financial goals at the time?
I wanted to hit six figures. And because nobody in my family had ever hit six figures. And so it was just a goal that I set. And when I hit the goal, it was kind of like the flame went out, like I got what I want. I got what I wanted. I went and accomplished it. And then the desire and the passion kind of went away. And I still stuck in the industry about 4 years after that. Right. So, but once the flame goes out, you gotta move forward. And so the thing that started happening was I was traveling a lot. I was driving 6 hours, anywhere between 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on traffic, because I worked up in North Jersey. Then I was flying to Florida to oversee projects down there as well. So now that I hit my financial goal, my next thing that I wanted to accomplish was just be a better husband, be a better father. Not that I sucked, let's just set the facts straight. But I just wanted to give them more of my time. And as that kind of grew inside of me, I started realizing that in this career path, it wasn't going to happen. And I was going to have to find a way to own my own time. And so in 2017, I went and got my real estate license. I thought that would be my way to freedom, right? Manage my time, manage clients, so on and so forth. But that didn't work out the way I thought it would. Now I'm still licensed, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But what ended up happening there is at that time, my team lead realized that, man, everybody's going after listing appointments. Well, who's servicing the buyers? And so he shifted to the buyer's side, and he does a phenomenal job. But I realized I was spending so much time running and showing buyers houses.
Yeah.
And I'd spend months sometimes going after and helping buyers get a house. And I look at that commission check. I'm like, man, I should have stayed in pharma and collected those checks that I was getting. But that's how I got into real estate.
Okay.
As an agent.
Okay. Yeah. That's usually how people it's interesting. Being a real estate agent is usually people's first thought when it comes to jumping in the real estate industry. It's like there's no other profession besides being a real estate agent for some reason. And I think it's because of that whole HGTV thing. Like people just have in their mind, like, okay, I gotta go be a real estate agent. I'm gonna go make these $20,000 checks, and like life will be good. Mm-hmm. But as you can see in your case, it was different. It was very different, and servicing buyers is a lot of time, especially up front. So you weren't having the best experience as a real estate agent. So what did you do from that point? How did you now start to shift into the things you started doing on later and the things you're doing now?
So while I was still a real estate agent, I was still working in pharma towards the back end of my career in pharma. Okay. And at one of the jobs that I was working at, I met a really nice person. All right. He was director in a different department along with me.
Mhm.
And while he was in pharma, he was doing real estate. And we, kind of took me under his wings a little bit. Young guy, don't get me wrong, probably was my age, but took me under his wings, would always kind of answer my questions that I would have about things. And then one day, I won't forget it. I was in my office. It was probably around 9:30 at night. And I gave him a call. Just needed some inspiration, just kind of a sounding board. And he threw this word out and he said wholesaling.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've never heard of it, never knew what it was or anything of that nature. So I asked him, like, yo, okay, what's wholesaling, bro? He's like, well, it's kind of like, think of it like, okay, you go meet a seller, person who wants to sell a home. You lock up the contract with them for a discounted price or a lower price than what the market value is. And then go find an end buyer, like an investor who wants to buy that property to either rent it or fix and sell, whatever the case may be. And whatever that difference is in between, you make that money. I was like, bro. And he gave me an example. Like, yeah, man, I just made like $40,000 on this one deal I did. I was like, wow, $40,000. If I can do like 3 or 4 of those a year, that's not bad money, right? And then maybe I can just chill the rest of the year. So I went down that rabbit hole, right? Learning about wholesaling, all the while still being a real estate agent, running buyers, so on and so forth. Then that brought me to a deal that I did where I was working with a retail buyer, right? They were pre-approved for 330,000. And then I put my hands in the aspect or the arena of real estate investing, and I got a property locked up. That went on I showed the buyer around for 6 months. Okay. 6 months. I did the shameless plug here, but there's a YouTube video on my channel that I did where you see all the numbers. So it was 96 hours that I totaled with this person. With this
you counted it.
I counted it. 96 hours on the weekends, right? Now I only went on weekends. So you break it down, every session was maybe like 2 hours or something like that. So you can imagine how many days they were.
Right.
So I did that. And my commission check when they actually bought the house, $330,000 house, right? You think I'm going to walk away with like 10, 15 G's. No, I walked away with $3,300. I was like, man, that was a lot of work.
What was your split?
Huh?
What was your split?
But remember, the brokerage gets, at that time I was just starting out. So it wasn't like I was a powerhouse or anything where I had like wiggle room to negotiate.
Yeah.
It was what it was and kind of kept it moving.
Right.
So then at the same time, I was doing a real estate investment deal. Now, this deal it was good, but it put a little sour taste in my mouth. And I'll tell you why. So I got the property locked up, right? All in all, I spent 5 hours working on it and made $3,200. Light bulb went off. I was like, man, this retail running around with buyers is not for me. Right. I can focus here and just, at that time I was cold calling, right? I can just cold call for hours and hours and get these types of leads. If I can do like 4 or 5 of these deals a month, in front of my computer, this is phenomenal.
So how did you get that first deal? How did
So that was it was a tax lien. Okay. As you know, my favorite niche list to focus on in the real estate investment side is tax liens. So it was a tax lien. I had the list. I skip traced it. Skip tracing essentially is getting the contact information through a provider or service company that does those activities. So I got the contact information, called them. They were actually looking to sell. I believe they had it listed prior to, and then they delisted it or took it off the market. So I locked it up. Now here's where that deal kind of put a sour taste in my mind. And this is something very important for real estate agents. Okay. So I really want you guys to pay attention. Before you decide to go into real estate investing, if you decide to do wholesaling specifically, ask your brokerage if they are okay and comfortable with you wholesaling. And here's the reason why. I locked that deal up for, I think it was $98,000. Okay. I took, My contract said, hey, I'm allowed to market this. As an agent, I even had the sellers sign disclosures. I had them notarize it that I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of New Jersey. This is my license number. This is my brokerage. These are my intentions. This is the potential of what I'm going to do based off the contract. I spelled it all out and put it in a separate document that was a disclosure. As an agent, as a real estate agent licensed, you have to disclose.
Yep.
Please don't go into this thinking you're going to hide stuff. That's not what this business is about. And you're going to put a bad reputation on the industry and most importantly on yourself.
Right.
So I locked that contract up at 98,000. Now the house was renovated. They were having a tough time getting it sold. So then I took it under contract and then I listed it on the MLS because my disclosure said I'm allowed to do that. I discussed it with them. Mm-hmm. I listed it for, I believe it was 138 and I got the asking price. So I'm like, yo, my first deal, like I'm about to rip this like 30, whatever that equates to, 40,000 or whatever the heck it was. So I lock it up. I'm going forward. Boom, boom, boom. I submit all the paperwork to my brokerage, right? And I guess the office manager, they were like, you can't do this.
Ooh.
Like unless you're going to take deed to the house first, then you're going to sell it. So essentially what's called a double close, right?
Right.
If you're not going to do that, you cannot legally, we're not going to allow you to do this in our brokerage. Right. So where I was going to make potentially 40,000, I made $3,300 or $3,200.
That's a big
But if I had, look, I'm not going to point any fingers to anybody. That's my fault. I should have asked the question, right? I should have better aligned with my broker and see what their appetite was for that type of real estate. Right. And so once that deal concluded, then obviously I left the brokerage and I went to a brokerage where I'm allowed to do wholesaling and more focused on real estate investment.
That is crazy. I mean, that's definitely a huge difference, but regardless, it's a learning experience. So you can't even be mad. And you didn't even invest that much time into it. So I mean,
5 hours.
5 hours.
I counted it too.
Compared to 96.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day.
Exactly.
Okay. So, all right. So you became an agent, came across wholesaling, started doing that. And after that, what did you, because I know you said, I mean, obviously we talk outside of this.
Yeah, I know.
We know you didn't continue to wholesale after that. So what was the progression?
So to be very transparent, I've never done a traditional wholesale transaction.
Right.
Part of that is because the way I find my deals, my spreads are sometimes very large. Well, they usually are. And I had a very bad experience where I did the traditional wholesaling, right? You give the wholesale assignment agreement and this and that. They saw my spreads and they started ghosting me. So I was like, man, this sucks, right?
Yep.
So then I reached out to a friend of mine, Steve Trang, for Real Estate Disruptors. He's like, yeah, you got ghosted because you were going to rip 60,000.
Right.
And he was going to make like 30 when he was done flipping it. So you like deals like these, you got to double close them. So I've never done the physical true act of wholesaling where I just move the paper. I just double close everything.
Right.
So what that means is I buy it in the morning, let's say, from the seller. And then in the afternoon, I sell it for an increased price to the end buyer. And then the difference is still mine. But this way, what happens is the end seller or the end buyer, the investor, can't negotiate or come back arguing about what I'm going to make because the house is mine.
Yep.
So that's what I've been naturally been doing more so than anything. I've never done a true wholesale type of transaction. Gotcha. But if they're smaller deals, so if they're like $5,000-$10,000 or 15, that seems to be what average wholesale fees are nationally. I don't think you're going to get any bark back from the end buyer, the investor. So you can do a traditional wholesale agreement type. So.
Yeah. And obviously my channel started out on the wholesaling side, so I was heavy into it. I mean, I was listening to so many podcasts, taking courses, everything. And that was one thing that a lot of people, a lot of like the mentors were saying, like, you don't want your assignment fee to be too big, but the same, not that you don't want your assignment fee to be too big, but people have a threshold. Like they're end buyers, the investors, they still get emotional too. So if they see you making 50,000 and they're only gonna make like 40,000, they might have an issue with it. But I have heard on the other end that people, have closed like $80,000 deals, and they specifically vet their buyers to make sure like it doesn't matter what I make as long as you're okay with the numbers.
So I'm in that category. I do not care if you make $120,000. My thing is this: if I'm not smart enough, or my team is not smart enough to run the numbers properly, where in the end it could be a profitable transaction for me as well, then that's on me.
Right.
And so what I do, or what I don't do, I guess, is I don't get into negotiating wars. These are my numbers. These are, based off what my contractor charges. Some people have, hey, contractors that don't charge them less or charge them a lot. And for that, they can afford to buy a house that's cost a little bit more. Right. So I tell the investors or wholesalers, whatever you're going to make, you make. I don't care. I'm not here to take money out of your pocket. I just care that the numbers make sense for me, and that's that.
Right.
And it's really great to work like that because it creates a lot of transparency, right? The other thing that I do with my investors is I upfront tell them, like, if once I sign the contract, I have to be able to have conversations with the sellers.
Right.
And not, it doesn't have to be one-on-one. You can set them all up, whatever you can be in every call you want, but I'm not going to play middleman. Like, you're not going to play middleman and then the message gets lost in translation. We're all going to work together. We all have a common goal, and that's what we're working towards. So you want to, investors, you guys want to, or wholesalers, you want to work with folks like that, they're going to treat you right. They're not looking to discount what you're making. They're just looking for a good deal. So,
yeah. And I think that makes sense because not only is that building trust, obviously it's building trust between you and the wholesaler to now keep that relationship going, but also helping the trust and the, I guess, security of the client that that deal is actually going to close. Because now you have the person on the line who's actually going to buy it from you, reassuring you like, this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen. So I think that's a great way to go about it.
So I want to add to that, Lillian, because you brought up something very important: security and trust. Like, when I buy deals, they're not always cash out of my pocket, right? Sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. Majority of times they're not, because I like to use other people's money.
Yep.
So I get private lenders, I get hard money lenders, and sometimes, especially with hard money lenders, like institutional hard money lenders, they may just require some more time to finish up their underwriting. Well, that has nothing to do with me. I submitted all my documents. I gave them everything that they need. They just need a little bit more time. So one of the things that I do is I group everybody up in an email: the seller, the wholesaler, myself, and the lenders. So everybody knows what's going on. It's full transparency. So now if a hard money lender says, hey, we're going to need another 10 days, seller sees it.
Right.
They've seen it from the beginning when I submitted the documentation and started the process. Seller knows, like, oh yeah, Amit submitted everything that he was supposed to. So when I say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we just need another 10 days. They're not going to say to me like, oh, this guy is not going to do what he said he's going to do. I'm like, ma'am or sir, look, we've shown you everything. This is nothing that I'm not holding this up.
Right.
So if you can just work with us, we're definitely going to get this done.
Right. That's definitely a great way because it removes that, not responsibility, but it's like, hey, it's not because of me. This is something that is outside of my control.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, when that happens, now the seller's like blaming you, but now they see it's not you. It's just what the process is. You've already made the commitment.
And it helps the wholesaler.
Yeah.
Or the real estate agent who's working in the middle. Because the last thing I want to do is jeopardize the real estate agent or the wholesaler's relationship with the seller, because they're the ones who initially created that rapport.
Right.
And so naturally what will likely happen is that seller is going to refer any of their friends or family to that real estate agent or wholesaler or investor, however you want to call it,
right.
More clients. And if I tarnish that relationship, well, guess what I lose? I lose their credibility with the middle person, and I lose the opportunity to get more deals.
Right.
So transparency is the key.
Yep, it's a compound effect. And once, if that seller does refer them more deals, that could lead right into you doing more deals with them too. So definitely get that. Okay, so since you didn't really stay on the agent side for too long, you became an investor right away pretty much. What's your main thing right now? Is it flipping? Is it buying and holding? I know you're into apartment complexes. Like, what's your main thing?
So right now, so I'll start with the back to bring you forward. Okay. So creating cash flow is the most important thing. Okay. So whether that's apartment buildings, residentials, whatever the case may be. We heavily we were doing fix and flips. Okay. And the reason for that was because when I transitioned into that phase, COVID hit, and I just did not have enough networks of people or outlets or avenues of financial resources. And so all I wanted to do at that time was just replace my salary, right? By getting some real estate assets to cash flow. Again, going back to time, right? I wanted my time back. And so I was like, wait a minute, God forbid, at that first year, I had 6 properties that I did, like 6 transactions. That's impressive. And I was like, man, God forbid if these people don't pay me, like, what am I going to do? I still got to make the mortgage payment and this and that. And I didn't have massive cash reserve saved up to last that whole time. And thank God, I mean, it lasted 2 years, right? The moratorium. So I just pivoted. I said, you know what? I'm just going to sell it. I bought them so cheap that even if I have to undercut the price, I'm still going to make a profit. And so I just pivoted and started flipping everything and just selling it. Now that the network is more built up, I have a lot more resources of people. We're like very, very heavily focused on cash flow. Like that's all. Like we will still fix and flip, but we're looking more at fix and flips where they're like 30, 40 days in and out. No massive amount of work, unless the payday's there for it. But the goal is just to create the cash flow. And that's really what the main focus is. Okay. So you're basically a cash flow investor. Yep. Okay. That's the focus. It's interesting. You made a point that you bought all 6 of your deals at such a discount that you had the flexibility to sell when you needed to sell. I think that's important because having the skill to buy anything or negotiate anything to where you can resell it at whatever price point. I mean, I think that's a huge skill in itself but especially with real estate, if you can buy real estate at a discount, there's so many options that you have, at that stage. And like a lot of people were like, they were thinking like during the moratorium, like they were hurting because people weren't paying rent or anything like that. But like you said, just buying at a discount, understanding the skill of wholesaling it was imperative, like, right? Yeah. So I want to add one more piece to that. So there's a skill set of analyzing deals, right? But when I started looking at going into real estate, another piece was this is reality. This is not if, this is reality. The reality was when I did my homework that the market has ups and downs, just as anything, right? Recessions, things happen. And the one thing that I told myself, and this was what my broker, my team lead, when I was with the old agency, taught me. He's my great friend of mine. And he taught me, like, Amit, no matter what you do in this business, do not ever hurt your investors, because you'll have rainy days, but don't let your rainy days be their rainy days. And so to add to what you were saying about skill set, there's also a discipline of structure. Yep. I knew going into that I had to be at a certain percentage of the market value, because I knew if that market changed, I was still going to be protected, because I had enough equity that if the market changed 20%, I was still going to make a profit, and my investors were going to get their money back. And that was probably the hardest thing to do, because I got deals where, you know how you get a deal and you get excited, especially if you haven't done a deal in a while. Like, let's say you did a deal in, I don't know, December, and then it's like May now, and you haven't done a deal. You're going to start getting a little antsy, and you may start feeling like, man, I got to get a deal done. I got to do something. But that's where my discipline, I'm grateful for it, came in, because there were periods where that happened, because you see all these people doing all these deals, like, man, how's he doing 10 deals a month or 20 deals?
Right.
But I realized, like, this is my structure, this is my focus, and I'm going to stick with it. And I'm so glad I did, because you're starting to see now a little bit of a price changing happening. Things are slowing down, not nowhere near what people think happened in 08. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you buy at the right price, where you can adjust for any unusual circumstances that will happen in the economy, you'll always be in a position where you protect yourself and your investors, most importantly.
That's a key. That's a big key.
Yep.
Oh, all right. So as a cash flow investor, how do you get your deals? What are your marketing strategies?
Okay. So there's two ways. Two ways in the sense, I'm going to break it up in newbies, and then people who've kind of been doing some deals and now they've kind of fine-tuned their operations and their systems, right? So I'm going to break it down in two ways. So for the newbies getting in, where they say no cash needed to do deals, right? Is it true? Yeah, but that requires a lot of time. Yeah. So when I started out, I would get the tax liens list from the counties, okay? And I would just go on True People Search. It's a free website where you can just put the information in. Now, it's not as, you get what you pay for kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So they might have a laundry list of phone numbers that you'll have to call and go through, or text message as well. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a while until I started doing some deals. And when I started doing deals, which is more so now, I transitioned where I hire agencies to generate leads for me. Now I still do my hunting, and my favorite place. So going back to the newbies, one of the best places where you can find some great deals is public records. Okay. And that is a course and a discussion and a conversation in of itself. Mm-hmm. Lillian knows. I've showed her things that we've kind of how we look at things and strategize. And the reason why I love public records is, I'm sure maybe you folks have heard of, like, hey, I'm going to go get a list. I'm going to go get this list from this company. Yep. Well, the question before you spend that money is, well, where are they getting the list from? Right. Right? Ask yourself that question, and I'll give you the answer. They're getting the list from public records. Yep. Whether they're submitting requests to the county clerks. Yep. Whether they're going on pacer.gov, the local municipalities' public records, that's where they're aggregating all the data. Yeah. Now, they're just able to get it faster because they're writing scripts, like computer scripts, to pull and scrape all that data. But look, as a newbie, one deal can change your entire landscape. Like, seriously, so don't get in the process or the habit of comparing yourself to others. Just focus on you being consistent in doing that one deal. And if you can be consistent in your practices, you'll start doing deals one after another. And that's where the consistency will start coming in. Okay. So you go to public record, you get public data, right? And then you also have an agency doing some marketing for you, or bringing in leads for you as well? Yes. So that part, I pay for leads. Okay. And what they do is they have their own marketing. They probably do Facebook ads, pay-per-click, whatever marketing they do, right? Text messaging, whatever it is. What I know is that those leads that come to me are high quality. Yep. Okay. And like, to the point where when that lead comes in, I know they're going to talk to me. Gotcha. It's not like I'm sending out 20,000 text messages to get 100 leads and shifting through 199 or 19,900 other text messages to see what's going on.
So
And the reason for, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the reason why I started hiring the agency was because I realized, okay, we are better at analyzing and buying and acquiring deals versus spending so much time on marketing. Now that's my inadequacy or what I'm not the greatest at. Maybe down the line, somebody may come work for the company that's phenomenal at it and we'll do more of that. Mm-hmm. But over the past couple of years, I've realized, man, I'd just rather talk to sellers that really want to sell. And I'd rather work on those because I have a higher probability and a potential to hopefully get that deal and establish and build a good rapport. So those are the two different avenues you can take, right? The paying for the leads comes down to time.
Yep.
Like I have a few friends who are doctors and physicians and so on and so forth, but they want to do real estate. They want to do deals like you and I do deals. So I'm like, look, man, it comes down to your time, right? There's no way you're going to ever beat me with this 12-hour job that you have Monday through Friday. I mean, you know, you're in the hospital every day. You're never going to be able to beat me doing the newbie stuff, right? You don't have 8 hours to spend on public records and scour and hunt for deals, right? So for them, I recommend, hey, why don't you get leads that come to you, and you don't need a lot, maybe 4 or 5 leads a month, just work those every month. It kind of adds up. And then you'd probably get a deal out of those, right? So again, it goes back to time. For me, that time is important. So now I want just good leads coming in that I can just get on the phone call and have a conversation.
That's a good point, because honestly, a lot of people, and I would say most people, are probably not good at marketing, especially for wholesale deals, because there's like, it's sort of a science, like talking to sellers, and it's not necessarily a science, but you kind of have to know how to shift the conversation, how to present them with a deal. You know, you can't just throw a number at them and expect them to accept it. Like, so even like with that situation where you have like a doctor or somebody else that's working so many hours a day, I think the average person is probably not fit to wholesale. I feel like,
yeah, I agree. It's like the marketing side, like you said, is a science. Like I'm very comfortable saying I'm probably average to below average when it comes to marketing. I'm okay with that. I don't have to be the best at everything.
And you're somebody that's in the business.
Yeah. And so when I started really like looking at myself and was comfortable saying that, because, you know, look, I'm just going to be honest. We all are we have pride, we have ego. Like, hey, man, we really want to succeed. But when I finally was comfortable enough telling myself that, I realized like, man, I'm spending so much time and money trying to market or do the best that I can. Why don't I just divert the funds and invest in a company that can generate leads for me, right? And how do you find those companies? This is important. I want to touch on this. Ask people in the industry, right? Like the companies that I work with, none of them have I sourced myself. I've asked other people in the industry, like, hey, you know, what do you guys? Who are you guys using? And this is the part where knowledge is important, right? The education. If you ask, people are willing to help. It's just that people are so afraid to ask. Just ask and people will help you. I asked one of my friends, I'm like, hey man, like, yeah, you're doing a great job. Like, are you marketing? Or like, no, we have an agency that we hired. They generate the leads, all these leads for us. And we just work on managing the leads, following up and just handling that. And I think they're doing about 12 to 15 deals a month just from one lead source.
Man.
Right. So now, do you spend money? Sure. I spend money on my leads, but that's where now I can really like focus in on just following up.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, look, I sit here every day. Here's the headset, right? Following up, you know, I like calling. Right. I like calling, following up. I do text message too. I follow up. My assistants follow up. But again, I wanted my time back from spending so much on just marketing. when I knew there were experts in the field that can really provide a great value to me.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. I kind of wish that was something that I had known about before too, because man, marketing was rough, and you already spend a lot of time and money marketing anyway. So if you're gonna put some money into getting leads, you might as well put it into something where you definitely know you're gonna get some solid leads. So,
and here's the thing with that, right? These agencies, they also have a refund policy. So for example, if I get a lead and I can't touch base with them, I get my money back.
Wow.
So because their setup is that we're going to provide to you warm to hot leads, people who actually want to sell. Not everyone is going to want to sell now. That's just the reality. But it is someone who has expressed interest that they want to sell. Some may want to sell right now. Some may just need to nurture for a couple months and you'll get that deal.
Wow.
But if you are not able, if it's a wrong number, if you can't get a hold of them, if it's listed on the MLS, if it's a mobile home or a RV park or anything like that, they refund you the money.
You can't get a refund if you do it yourself.
Exactly. So I looked at my cost of what I was spending trying to market on my own with like the campaign costs, right? Text messaging, RVM, dialers, like making cold calls, skip tracing, systems, CRM systems, or I'm sorry, dialer systems and all those softwares. I was like, man, I might as well just take all this money and just put it over here and let these guys and gals just do what they're great at.
Right.
And it's phenomenal. Like we get leads come in. I tell you what, man, my phone goes off with a lead. I get so excited. I'm like, oh, and I tell like my assistant lead came in. Right. Because we have a rule. You have to touch that lead within 5 minutes.
Yeah, you have to.
I've had leads come in at 3:00 in the morning and I've taken them. I get up out of bed so my wife doesn't chew me out. I get up out of bed. I go downstairs, make the call. Now, I'm not saying you have to be that excessive. Right now, we brought this agency in. We just don't have a nighttime person yet. Okay. So we're working on implementing somebody there so that I don't have to, get up.
Right. Wow. That's really.
But yeah, it's another way to, and I think I've never done this, but you may be able to do that as a real estate agent as well. So pay a agency to generate leads that,
Yeah, definitely. So, there's a bunch of agencies that do that. I mean, they're usually buyer focused, but I'm sure they have it for sellers too. So yeah. But one thing I want to touch on. So obviously, me and you, we have our little social media mastermind where we always put our heads together and try to figure things out when it comes to social media. Now, with wholesaling, it's a little different because with wholesaling, your target audience is a distressed seller, right? Or investing is usually somebody who needs to sell a house in order for you to, to get a deal. So how have you seen social media be effective on the side of, getting leads for investing deals and also for like, we didn't touch on this yet, but you're into private lending or you raise money. Yep. So on both sides of investing and finding distressed sellers and on the raising capital side, how have you seen, and it doesn't have to be just your experience, it could be others, because I know you said that one guy gets all his leads from Instagram and everything. So you can talk a little bit about, yours and others that you've noticed.
So social media with respect to generating leads, is that what you're?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So I want to take a step further out from what you said. And you said about generating from social media or brand. I like to call brand. Okay. So brand is me. Okay. So in terms of generating leads directly with owners, sellers, where I find better effect is people who already have built rapport with sellers. And then these other investors see me as a platform. Oh, like this guy's really in the game. He's doing deals. Oh, he did this deal. Oh, he's speaking over here. Oh, he wrote this article. Right. Now what happens is these investors bring me deals. So I don't have to go talk to the homeowner all the time. They've done all the vetting. They know that the seller wants to sell. They know the price. They know what it's locked up at. So when they see me on social media and building my brand and talking about real estate, they're like, oh, let me reach out to Amit, see if he can help me. Right. So yes, I got a deal that came to me from a real estate agent, right? And so I'm buying the deal, it's a triplex. And he messaged me yesterday. He's like, hey man, I have a bunch of liquid funds. Liquid funds is just cash sitting around.
Right.
And he says, I looked you up, man. I want to invest. I'm like, okay, right? So, and then I jokingly, LOL, whatever. He's like, yeah, and he goes on to say, like, yeah, I see that you're really in the business. I see what all you're doing. Once we get through this first deal that you're going to be buying, let's talk more. And, I have a lot of reserves set aside that I want to really get involved in investing in. And so now what I'm doing is I'm building rapport, right? He's seen my brand. He's seen me TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. He's seen me all across, right? And he sees what I do. And he's really intrigued and wanting to work with me. Right. So that's how the power of personal branding is so impactful and important. You should definitely dedicate time to your brand. And I would even go as far as to say, if you have a job that's paying you, right? Like if you have a W-2 or you're really doing really well as a real estate agent, before you cross over to full-time investing, build your brand up.
Yep.
If you build your brand up, people will come to you out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Like I told you this, right? I went to this one real estate seminar, and this gentleman who spoke was not in real estate, but he had so much attention that if he put a post up like, hey guys, by the end of the year, I need to buy 1,000 doors, he'd beat me. Yeah. Truthfully, I can say that. He would beat me at the marketing. Why? Because his brand has so much attention. Yep. And that's the key.
Right. No, I think that's huge. And one thing that inspired me to like really start branding myself and just taking social media serious is, you guys know, again, I was in wholesaling and I followed Max Maxwell, and he was like, the light bulb went off. I'm like, when his brand started to really explode, I was like, man, like this guy, like not only is he building up that authority and that trust and everything between him and his audience, like he's making a lot of money from it, Yeah. Your brand kind of like solidifies you like as who you really are, right? So like people begin to know, like, and trust you more. Like this is why we're always talking about like the different platforms and everything like that, like especially on YouTube, because they're seeing more of you like at a longer period of time versus some other platforms where just like short form videos. But even on Instagram, just seeing multiple videos of you, and like it just allows people to kind of like understand you a little bit more and relate to you, I should say.
Yeah. So the thing that I'm learning as I and my brand, my social media stuff is nowhere even close to where I want it to be. I'm just being very honest, okay? But what I'm focused on is learning and educating myself so I can take that information and do something with it.
Right.
One of the biggest things that I've learned and am learning is that no matter what content is put out, make sure that it is for the viewers. It is not, and don't make the content for you. Before you post whatever you're going to post, ask yourself, what is the benefit for the viewer? Why would somebody stop and see this image? Or why would somebody stop and listen to what I have to say?
Right.
So always give value. And when you start giving more and more value, what naturally happens psychologically, and this is a proven fact, is that without you even ever shaking their hand, meeting them face to face, you will build the level of trust.
Right.
And when you actually meet in person, or it's time to do a call for action, they're going to go for it.
Yep.
Meaning because they've seen what you're able to do, the value that you provide, and they're going to trust you. Like, yeah, this person is legit. It's real. Right. I joined the mastermind, never having met the person, never spoke with the person. I joined because I saw the community that he created and the awareness and the value that he was bringing to people.
Right.
And so I joined, and everything that I witnessed and saw is true now that I'm part of the community.
Right. It's basically what you said. Like once you build that trust and that, like, you know, that brand, other people around you start to be the voice for you. Like this guy is the person to go to for this, or you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. And shameless plug, as now that I'm doing mortgages, right? My YouTube channel shifted from wholesaling to being a real estate agent, my journey with that, and now like, you know, social media marketing and everything like that. So I help a lot of different real estate agents with their social media. And it's always interesting because like a lot of them struggle with like putting themselves out there, not understanding like the potential and like all the opportunities that they're like, you know, potentially missing out on. And it's unfortunate, but you know, they see it, but they just don't want to dive into it.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I want to ask with you, and you were never really like, well, I guess when we first met, I feel like you weren't like huge on it, but like after a while you dove all in because you saw the opportunity. So was it like a challenge? Like how did you
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if this is other people's belief, but this is surely my belief. I believe that a strong brand, well, let me rephrase it, a brand that draws attention of other people can outmarket any marketing that you can do. Pay-per-click, Facebook ads, TV ads, newspaper, radio. Your brand, your attention, your promotion of yourself can outcompete any type of marketing. That's my belief. And so what does that mean to me or tell me? It means that, first of all, why the heck would I not go all in on personal branding, right? Because I know if I have 1 million people's attention on a daily basis, let's say, and I put up a post saying, let's say I put up 10 posts of value, right? Etc. And on the 11th post, I put up, hey guys, I need a little help. I need to buy 200 more units before the year's over. Who's got deals?
Right.
Do you think that I would be able to hit my goal?
Why? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And I don't even have to be in that space. It's just my brand draws that attention. Now, those 1 million people, let's say I'm in a different field. Let's say I'm in finance or mortgage, okay? And I have all these people whose attention I have. You're telling me that out of those 1 million people, they don't have other connections that can help you meet that goal, that the other goal that's outside of mortgage? Of course they can. And that's why the power of your brand is so important.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And it's so true. Like, it's crazy. Like, especially now, it's literally what you said. People will start to connect you. People will help you get connected with the right people or opportunities. So what was I going to say? Something just skipped my mind.
My apologies.
I was going to ask you something about, it was back to branding. Oh, so I wanted to make a quick example. Like I was listening to a podcast and they were saying like, you know, why do we not know the CEO of Toyota or Ford, but we know who the CEO of Tesla is? Like Elon's brand or Elon's image attached to Tesla is what increases the value in comparison to these other, you know, car dealer or, you know, car brands.
Yeah. So you hit it right on the head. Think about this. Elon could sell Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter, and go start something crazy.
Yep.
Whatever he thinks of, right? Automatically, it's going to be a success because that's what his brand is. Right? That's the key for your personal branding. You can go into other niches once you've established your brand and dominate.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah. But the part about branding, so, you know, kind of like, where do you start? And I'll start from YouTube. You know, one of the best, because it's a search engine optimization, right? So you can search for stuff. Yep. Don't get caught up in emotionally in the content. Look at it from data. Look at your content that you're delivering. What does the data show you? What does the analytics show you? Mm-hmm. If you, let's say on TikTok, you have a video, right? And it's 30 seconds long. But you know, you're noticing that man, usually around like 10 seconds, people stop watching. You should go back and watch every video where at 10 seconds people fall off. And you should look at why. What am I saying? What am I doing? What am I not doing? And adjust. Mm-hmm. So as you're starting this branding process, don't be afraid. Use the data that's available to you from all these platforms and improve. It's something that took me a while to, and Lillian knows, spent a lot of money. Took me a while to realize, but hey, it's part of the process, right? And I'm glad that I went through it because it's helped me a lot to understand what I'm trying to do and accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about bringing value, right? Like you said, if you put out 10 posts, right, or 10 videos, and it's like, you know, all bringing value to whoever your audience is, mm-hmm. and then you say, I need to buy units, or for me, in my example, like if I'm putting out like 10 videos about the mortgage market, right, and then in my 11th video, I'm like, hey, I'm looking to work with realtors. They're gonna be like, oh, well, like she kind of knows what she's doing here in the market. Like, mm-hmm. maybe I should work with her. You know what I mean? So that it's a compound effect. It's a compound effect.
Agree.
So, but I'm glad you're all in on social media, and we're gonna take things to the next level. I'm like 150 pages in the YouTube book so far, so we're gonna discuss that a little bit after this.
Yeah, we should definitely do a show on just that book.
I know. Yeah, we're gonna do a couple shows.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, the book that she's talking about is the YouTube Formula by Daryl Eves.
Yeah.
So he's really good friends with Mr. Beast. If you don't know Mr. Beast, just you're like at ground zero right now. But no, it's a really good book. It really distilled for me what I needed to do. But I'll digress. I'll save that for another topic for you.
Full transparency, I still haven't watched a Mr. Beast video, but
you gotta watch. But don't watch it from like just sit there and watch. Once you're done reading the book, then watch, and you'll be like, oh my God, like this is, you start taking notes and like really figuring things out of your own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell the book, he goes into like understanding your analytics, like you said, and I just haven't done that as much as I should. Even though like I am having success on YouTube, I know it could be better. Mm-hmm. You know, it is kind of hard being in the real estate business and still trying to juggle all the social media, which is why you have a whole team.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to, something that we haven't really touched on is how you raise money. Like you are now, sorry about that. You raise money, you raise hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. Yep. How have you been able to do that? Let's start with that. How?
Okay. So, initially started with like family. So I, reached out. And what I want to say there is most people probably feel uncomfortable asking. But you have to have a mind shift change. And that is this. You're not asking family or friends for money.
Right.
You are, but you aren't. What you're doing actually is you're presenting family and friends an opportunity.
Yep.
And if you think of that nature and that pathway, you'll look at the exchange of money differently. It's different when you go to, let's say I go to Lillian and say, hey, I need $10,000. She's going to look around like, well, what do you need it for?
Right.
I just need $10,000. Right. She might give it to me, sure, but she might have some hesitancy. But if I go to Lillian and say, hey, Lillian, look, I got this, I'm buying this real estate deal. I need $10,000. I'm going to give you 8 or 10 or 12% on your money. I need it for 6 months. And I'll show, here's all the numbers, what we're looking at. This is what we're going to buy it at. So let's say tomorrow I died, Lillian, and my wife's not into real estate. We can sell it at this price and you'll get your money back out. So you're protected. Now it's different. You're looking at, oh man, okay, I can make $1,000 in 6 months without doing anything.
Right.
You're offering an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so what has happened from there is, as friends and family, and I guarantee if you go through your cell phone, there's north of $1 million in your phone that people want to invest. Trust me.
Right.
So from there, what has happened is they've reached out and talked about me and their success with other colleagues and their friends, right? Mm-hmm. So that's been one avenue of raising money.
Gotcha.
Now, the second way that I like to do is LinkedIn.
Yes.
So LinkedIn, so I treat LinkedIn is probably like my number one favorite platform to just be on, right? Along with YouTube. YouTube is like how-tos and informational kind. But LinkedIn, you have connections, right? All the like I have had 10 years of connections in pharma. And when I left, I was at a director level. So my colleagues and my peers were director levels and C level, which is CEOs, CFOs, so on and so forth. So, I mean, naturally, they make decent money.
Right.
And so what I've been doing through LinkedIn is the same thing. I've been posting professional content, professional meaning it's more upscale. Okay, guys, I'm not posting on LinkedIn when I'm doing, playing beer pong or something like that, right? Like, I mean, you could if you want, you can test it and let me know how it works, but a little bit more sophisticated because the audience is a little bit more sophisticated. It's a more professional environment.
Yep.
So I've been posting on there, and what's happening from there is people, my old colleagues are reaching out. They're like, man, I've been thinking about investing in real estate. I know we talked about it when we worked a few years ago, and my fault too. I never cultivated that more. But by posting, building my brand,
right,
people are now coming to me like, hey, I wanted to learn more, so on and so forth. And that's been another way that we've been able to raise capital.
So relationship building on LinkedIn.
Yeah, relationship building on LinkedIn.
I think that's really your platform.
It is. I love it. The other thing you want to do as well is, I'll give you a little gem, okay? You might want to put a little gem, okay? So here's another cool strategy. And this is to find people who are actually in the business of lending money, not private, just hard money lenders. If you go into the search bar and then put in their private lender, okay? And then you'll have a bunch of knobs that you can select. People, groups, whatever, places, things like that. So you put in the search bar private lender, then select people. What will happen is, and I'll ask the question and people will get this. So Lillian, you're in the mortgage business, right?
Yes.
If you on LinkedIn, what is your headline? If you have a LinkedIn,
I do have a LinkedIn that I
did you update it? Okay, so let's assume you updated it. Okay, it would say Lillian, right? And then underneath of it, it would say mortgage broker.
Okay.
So if I go into the search bar and type in mortgage broker, people, you'll pop up.
Oh, got it.
So now what I have done is I put in private lender, people, and I get a whole list of people who are private lenders. They're in the business of giving money.
Right.
Okay. I reach out, I communicate, and I contact them and I say, hey, listen, what criteria or what information do you need from me so that we can work together?
Right.
And boom, in the past 2 weeks, I've got 47 lenders.
Wow. You really honed in on this LinkedIn strategy.
Yep. So that, and now the next step is, I'm gonna give you another gem. I love LinkedIn.
Lay it on me.
So here's another thing you do.
Okay.
Go to LinkedIn, then go to groups. Okay, like groups that you enjoy, or your industry, whatever you want to do. Okay. For you, we're gonna just keep using you as an example. Mortgage, right? I don't know, Chase Mortgage, whatever. There's probably a group that exists on LinkedIn. Yep. Join the group, and then add value.
Right.
So what do I mean by add value? A couple of things. One, post in the group, but valuable content. Don't push crappy stuff. Something that someone is going to read. Going back to what I said, has to be value for the viewer. So something that they're going to find helpful. Two, comment and help other people who are struggling or have some questions about what they're dealing with. And what will happen is naturally, they're going to see that happening and they're going to go click over to your profile.
Yep.
And what will happen is as you keep building this trust level, they're going to click follow. And then now what LinkedIn's algorithm sees is like, man, Lillian's followers have been like getting ramped up. Let's promote some of her stuff organically. And that's another way how you build brand, raise capital, and find deals.
That's good. That's smart. I mean, it's a strategy that I've used on Facebook. Facebook
Yeah.
is the same thing. It's
Mhm.
just adding value to where people need it. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing as a lender. I'm here. The typical pitch to find realtors is, hey, like we communicate, we work on time, whatever, whatever. But like my pitch is different. My value add is that I can help you generate leads on social media. Why? Because I've been doing it for the past year and a half.
Right.
So
Right.
my value add is different. You need to find your own unique selling proposition to attract other people.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's really good. So I don't want to take too much of your time, but
All good.
real quick, and if you could just summarize, what do you think is the best way for real estate agents to get involved in investing? And what steps do you think they should take?
Okay. If I were to have to go back and do it again, I'd get myself educated. Okay. I would find mentorships. And what I mean by mentorships, not the first one that pops up on a Facebook ad. Mentorship with groups of people or organization that is actively helping and doing. And one of the best ways to find that is referral, right? Ask colleagues in your industry or in the real estate investment industry, hey, who do you work with? Like, what are some places that you would recommend for me to go to learn? When you do that, you'll get the knowledge. Now what'll happen is, and look, you might have to pay for some, but instead of you going like this and then going like that, because you got to get all this knowledge at the beginning, if you go to a mentorship where they've done thousands of deals, well, guess what happens to your knowledge? It goes like this. And you get on that upward swing a lot quicker to being able to do deals. So that's number one. Educate yourself and get around people. And then after that, you got to take action. Like, don't get so consumed in learning and educating that you don't do anything with it. So that's kind of the pathway that I would recommend.
What side of real estate do you recommend, or what side do you feel as though might fit agents more? Where is the, like, do you think they should flip? Do you think they should buy?
It depends on what their goal is in their life, right? For me, is my time. So me having 40 flips going on at one time and I'm the one managing everything or overseeing, well, I don't want to do that, right? We've hired people now, but I want to create cash flow, right? That's one thing personally. And secondly, I want to create cash flow for my employees. So I have I'm sure other people do it. I haven't seen it, but I structure with my employees differently. So they have like a salary. And then, well, right now my employees are all commission based. But then what I've envisioned is, okay, when there's some downtime, they should have income coming in.
Right.
So what I've done is, or have looking to implement is, if a project manager, a transaction coordinator works on a deal, then they get a percentage of the profit of the cash flow. So if in a year they worked on 100 properties and they're generating, I don't know, $20,000 a month in cash flow, then that's theirs.
Wow.
Right? Because now what does it do? It incentivizes the people to stay and work, and they have something that they're reaching for. Right. So for the real estate agent, a great place. This is one thing I've been doing lately. A great place to start. Be the bridge.
The connector, yes.
Be the bridge, meaning you have an investor such as myself. You have a seller over here that you've already have built a relationship or are building a relationship. They got to sell. The house isn't in fully immaculate condition and so on and so forth, where you can sell it for top dollars. Be the bridge. Work with investors, good investors, and bring them deals. And what will happen is you say, okay, look, Amit, I'll bring you deals, but would you mind teaching me? I got no problem. If I'm getting deals coming my way and I'm not spending anything for it, but educating him in things that I'm already going to have to do anyway to close the deals and process the deals. All right, let's go.
Right.
Show up here at 8:00 and let's get to work. I'll teach you everything I know. Just keep bringing deals. So be a bridge. That is one of the best ways. Then you can get yourself knowledge. You learn off of, in this example, my mistakes, because you're not spending the money, right? So you learn, and then I get to teach you what I learned. And you'll be like, oh, well, I'm not doing that stupid thing again that Amit did. So
Right.
save myself money. But yeah, be a bridge. Be the connector that can solve problems.
So instead of picking your brain, bring you deals, and then you'll get all the time to pick your brain.
Yeah. You introduced me to an investor.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually went to the restaurant yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's private, but I saw the Instagram. I was jealous. I was like, oh, I wish I was there.
So good.
But the I don't know if I can drop names or not, but the Raven.
Yeah, yes, Raven.
Right. So her and I have a great relationship.
Yeah.
We're very transparent. She brings me deal. She texted me the other day. She's like, hey, Amit, I have a fourplex, a single family, and a duplex. I need the numbers on it. I'm like, okay, well, what's your exit strategy? I'm going to sell it to you. So I was like, okay, no worries. So like, and I'm not offended by it.
Right.
So that's the beauty of working with good people. Whatever she's going to make, I'm going to go through her numbers, and I'm going to say, look, this is based off of what I can refinance in the back end. This is where I'd have to be.
Right.
If her numbers said she was going to make 100,000, but my numbers say, hey, look, you're going to make 75. Are you okay with that? All right. If yes, let's do the deal. If not, let me see if somebody else is willing to give you this 100,000.
Right.
It's nothing off my back, but at least she thought of me.
Right.
I'm using up a little insy bincy space in her mind that she had the thought to think of me.
If you're the first person that comes up in a wholesaler's mind, you're gonna your chances of getting the best deals increase dramatically. If you build that close relationship with 5 or 10 wholesalers, you're gonna get the best deals, like period.
So think about now being the bridge, right? What happens now is, as you're learning, you start getting that knowledge. Then I'm not saying you cut that person off, but you can partner up. Like, hey, I know you're busy with 6 other flips. Okay, why don't you buy this? I'll manage your flip. I mean, you've taught me everything I needed to know. You give me 15% on the profits when you make them.
Right.
Now I'm like, oh, okay. I don't got to go manage this project. I know this guy or gal has learned from me, so I know they're not going to jack it up.
Right.
All day, because I get my time back.
Yeah, you get the highest possible return, because finding employees and finding people to work with is it's hard. So if you literally mentor somebody, now you're getting the highest chance of return on your time.
100%.
That's
100%.
That's great.
And it's phenomenal to do it that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like I've learned a lot being around you. I mean, we met like 2 or 3 years ago in the Real Estate Investors Association. That's another thing, guys. Get connected with your local Real Estate Investors Association group. I mean, that's a great way to start too, because you'll start seeing people in different areas of real estate investing and connect with different types of professionals. So, but yeah, I'm not going to take too much more of your time, Amit. I mean, this has been great. I think we're going to need a part 2, because we didn't even get to like half of the questions.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at this is what she sent me, like this list, and I wrote it all out. I was like, all right, I'm prepared for Lillian. I want to be a good guest.
Our combos always get dragged out because we go heavy into so many different things. But yeah,
I do want to say one thing. I want to give another piece of advice to the agents.
Okay.
There's more to being an agent than a listing agreement. Okay. And what I mean by that is be a problem solver.
Yep.
There's another way. If the house has been on the market for 90 days, I mean, it's not selling. Yeah, and in this market, if your house is sitting 90 days
for 30 days,
I'm telling you, what does that mean then? Okay, you should sit there and be like, well, I got to send the termination of agreement. No. What is another option?
Yes.
What is it that the seller's trying to accomplish? Are they trying to sell, and because they need the money to buy a new house? How can I structure that? Is there some sort of seller financing? Maybe a sub 2, right? And these are, you guys can look these terms up, and then Lily and I will do another show for you guys.
Yes.
But be a problem solver for the seller. And like Lillian said, if your listing is sitting more than 30 days, you need to find every single investor in your area and call them. I guarantee one of them will buy the house.
Yep.
I know I will.
Yep. Investors, they provide solutions.
Yep.
They help with the solutions. That's a great point. Don't think of it just as a listing. There's so many other ways that you can help a seller, and you'll figure out how to get paid.
So I know we're gonna be ending soon. So as I had led in the conversation about branding and social media, it's always about value to the viewer, right? And so if those who have stayed till the end to watch this, and Lillian has no idea what I'm about to say.
This is the
Lillian has no idea about what I'm going to say. Okay. As I'm learning and understanding social media and branding value. So what I'm willing to do, and I'll let Lillian lead the charge. Whenever she sets it up, whenever she has time, I will do a public records deep dive Zoom call. Ooh. You can have as many guests on you want. You tell me the day and I will block the entire day.
Wow.
If it takes 8 hours, 10 hours, 12, 20, I will show you public records. And I promise you, and this is a guarantee, and to the point where if you do everything I show you and you don't get a deal, I will hold your hand until you do get a deal.
Ooh.
So I will do a public records deep dive, how to find deals. Okay. You didn't know that I was going to drop that value, right? So this is for the people that stayed till the end.
Yeah.
If you stayed, you get in.
Yeah.
If you didn't, you probably gonna miss this part.
Right. And this is an experience of a lifetime, because not many people, especially at the level that Amit is at, are willing to do the hand-holding process for you to get a deal. Like it's a lot of work to help somebody every step of the way. But Amit is saying right here, right now, that he's willing to do that. If you follow his steps on this, future webinar, and you don't get a deal right away or whatever within the time frame that we're saying. So you better hop on this opportunity. We're definitely going to do this. I would love to do something like this. I think this is going to help a lot of people out, because how to find a deal is people's biggest, challenge,
Yeah. And most, as people are going to listen to this, they're going to ask themselves, because people are cynical. This is reality. They're going to be like, well, what's in it for him? I'm going to tell you exactly what the heck's in it for me and Lillian. I'm going to be honest and very transparent. When I show you this, I hope you bring me the deal that I can buy it. I'm just being honest. So look, I've solved two things for you. Okay, guys, listen. I'm going to teach you how to get a deal. Yep. And I've already found you your first buyer.
There you go.
I don't know what more I can give to you guys.
That's value.
And one last thing, you're probably wondering, like, well, Amit, what makes you an authority in public records? I have paid over $10,000 in a mentorship, one-on-one, to learn public records, more than what I used to know. Okay, so it's not just coming from me. I'm around people who show me how to do this even better. And then as we go on, I'll teach you how to automate it so you can save some time doing it.
Ooh,
but so Lillian, here's the thing. Don't put no link in the description for this little thing. You got to set it up however you got to set it up so that they watch this till the end.
Okay.
You got to re-engage them in the middle of YouTube, whatever it is.
Gotcha.
If you need to do some sound bites, you might have to edit this now. If you got to do some sound bites to re-engage, just call me. I'll hop on. I'll make sure I wear the same shirt so it looks the same. But no, I'm being dead serious. You tell me the day and I will clear my entire schedule.
Okay.
No time limit. Whatever. You want to do this in person might be a little hard, but definitely, yeah, I'll do it on Zoom, or if you want to, I'll do it on a projector. I don't care. Whatever it is, I'll let you lead the charge, but you have me to help your community.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely going to put it together. We'll figure out exactly the specifics, whether it's in person or online, whatever we're going to do, but we're going to do it. That's exactly what people need to know, is how to find a deal. So I definitely appreciate that. This is tailored just to my audience. So like, this is very, I really appreciate you, giving this opportunity to other people, because this is what they need. So yeah, offline, we're going to discuss the specifics, and then I'll add everything into the description when we're done. But is there anything else that you want to add to the video right now that you want to, help people, help agents, help investors, whatever you want to say?
Be a problem solver, right? You should you should welcome problems into your life. And I don't mean self-sabotage, right? I mean, if somebody's struggling, welcome that problem into your life, because if they're struggling, then that's because no one around their circle has found a solution to help them. They themselves have not. If you can be a problem solver for them, they'll be so grateful to you. You'll build that relationship, and there's nothing wrong with making money.
Right.
Okay. You're providing a service and a value. You're providing knowledge. You're providing skill set to help solve that problem.
Yep.
And it's not like you're telling them like, hey, you have to give me upfront $10,000 for me to solve this problem. No, it's like performance based. If I solve it, this is the benefit for me and benefit for you. If I don't, well, you still got the same problem. And I just spent some time trying to look at it, and this is going our way. So definitely just focus on being a problem solver. Whatever it is that you want out of life will come to you. Money, vacations, whatever, right? Nothing wrong with those things. But focus on being a problem solver first for others, and then everything, your rewards will come to you in due time.
Yep. Just like they say, help others get what they want, and you will always get what you want.
Bingo. Agree 100%.
All right. Well, that's the best way to close it out. Please let the people know how they can reach you for either mentorship, just to follow you, whatever the case may be.
Yep. So you can go to amitdarji.com. Website is halfway up, but by the time this airs, it'll be done. You can go to the Amit Darji show on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at Amit_H_Darji. TikTok, the Amit Darji show. Facebook is just Amit Darji. What else am I missing? LinkedIn, Amit Darji.
The main one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And guys, and here's the thing: you don't have to wait for this class that we're gonna do. If you guys need help, just reach out.
There you go.
Lillian knows I do not shy away from helping.
Yeah.
She'll call me. I help. I don't really care.
Yes, Amit will always help you. Sometimes I'm trying to figure out where he finds the time in the day between his wife, his kids, his business, and I'm just like, well, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take the help. I appreciate it. But it's
that's the beauty. Yeah, and it grows from there. That help reciprocates, right? That's what I asked. Like, if I help you, don't be a jerk to somebody else. Help them, because they were once in your shoes, and you should remember what that felt like when I or Lillian or someone else, put their hand out and say, "Come on, man, or gal, I'll help you. Let's go."
Right. No, you're right about that. And I'll put all your links in the description.
Yeah.
So you can definitely reach out. This is actually the second time you've been on my YouTube channel, and there's going to be many more episodes.
Yeah.
We need to touch on so much.
Yep.
But I really appreciate you coming on the show today, Amit.
Thank you.
And you provided a lot of value today for myself as well as my subscribers and viewers. So I'm looking forward to doing more shows with you. But until the next time, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. And Amit, thank you again.
Take care. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.